The mystery behind medieval bed burials possibly solved. Burial rite tied to expansion of Christianity. This is by Life Science of WND. On rare occasions in medieval mainland Europe, the cream of the crop, those who were wealthy or noble, were sometimes buried as if they were going to sleep, interred on their beds in what is known as a bed burial. However, it was unclear how this practice spread to England. And now new research reveals that bed burials gained traction in the 7th century AD, along with the spread of Christianity, and soon became a common burial rite for women. After analyzing 72 bed burials across Europe, ranging from Slovakia to England, a researcher found that England's bed burials held one female remains. She concluded that the funerary practice in Europe occurred at a time when women were moving around more as Christian wives married to non-Christian husbands, according to a new study published online June 13 in the journal Medieval Archaeology, opens a new tab. Bed burials were something that was specifically imported by women who were moving around at that very specific point in time across Europe, said Emma Brownlee, a study's sole author and a research fellow in the archaeology at Girton College and a fellow at the MacDonald Institute for Archaeological Research, both of which are within the University of Cambridge in England. And she said, as part of this conversion movement, men were moving, but not at the same extent as women, who were bringing these burial rites with them as they migrated as missionaries, causing it to take on the association of femininity and Christianity in England. This is an example of a woman lying in a medieval bed of England. This is a Getty image, and you'll see some more coming up. And this is a double bed, obviously. Again, a medieval bed. Very simple looking thing. Now, more than 70 bed burials were studied as part of this research, including beds found in Trossingen and Cologne Cathedral. For context, Brownlee points to the fall of the Western Roman Empire about 476 AD, which led to Christianity to at first diminish and then thrive again in Europe. And at this point, Christianity had vanished as a religion, Brownlee told Life Science. By the 7th century, there is this push by the church on the continent to start reaching out and converting places that are not Christian. Pope Gregory I pushes this idea of conversion and missionaries. One of the slightly less obvious ways that the church tried to convert people was by encouraging marriages between Christian women and non-Christian men. And she said, so you have this specific policy of Christian families trying to marry their daughters into the English elite who were non-Christian at the time. The idea was that the wives acted as this converting influence in the families, and so women had this really key role to play through those marriages. Brownlee mentioned one bed burial in particular as a point of reference, the Trumpington bed burial, which archaeologists excavated in 2011 in Trumpington, a village in eastern England. Like other burials in the study, it dates to the 7th century and contains the remains of a young woman buried in a wooden bed affixed with iron brackets. The burial also contains several notable grave goods, including a knife, glass beads, and an ornate gold cross studded with garnets. While not much is known about the woman's identity, the cross suggests she was most likely Christian. That's why she had a cross. Now, according to her paper, the earliest known bed burial occurred in Eastern Europe in the 5th century AD, and the practice spread across mainland Europe during the 6th and 7th centuries as a rite for men, women, and children, including the burial of a 6-year-old boy beneath Cologne Cathedral in Germany. It was not until later that the burials became more common for women in 7th century England, Brownlee said. An analysis of isotopes, or elements with varying numbers of neutrons in their nuclei, from 3 of the bed burials in England revealed that the women interred there did not grow up in Britain, but the study found the chemical evidence, along with the fact that only women received bed burials in England, suggests that it was imported by a specific group of women, likely linked to conversion efforts in the 7th century, Brownlee said. Bed burials therefore acquire feminine and Christian characteristics in England that it did not have elsewhere. Then why exactly were beds used as burial vessels as opposed to coffins? Brownlee thinks it could be related to a person's status as well as poetic metaphor regarding death. She said not many people would have had their own bed frames back then. She said the ability to construct this wooden bed frame took quite a lot of labor, and so it's not something that everyone could afford. Most people would have just slept on straw mattresses, but if you were important enough to have your own bed frame, that was quite a special thing, she said. The idea of equating death with eternal sleep may have also played a role. Brownlee said there might also be connotations of sleep going along with it. And the word is kimisi in Greek. That's where the word cemetery comes from. Cemetery actually means a place of sleep, a place of rest where you're sleeping. So it tells us a little bit about how people were relating to death, and they saw it as if they're going to sleep rather than it being some final end. The remains of the Trumpington bed burial are currently on display at the Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology at the University of Cambridge in England. This was by Jennifer Nalewicki on Live Science. And again, I say that the word cemetery is kimitirio. It comes from the Greek word to sleep, kimame, kimisi, means sleep. I guess that's why they thought of it as sleep, as the eternal sleep until the day of resurrection. Now, this is on Live Science. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.